I beg apologies to the audience for being on stage for so long, but I've been honored to introduce this next panel, which is about new investment models. We've got a representative from PwC and also from ATRESMEDIA. I would like to know, Alberto and Javier, what are you doing at PwC with startups now, and what's the new program that you have started, and the same with Antena 3, because I think that you're doing really interesting things.
Okay, so Antena 3 as a group has a challenge, which is we need to diversify our revenues. So that's why we have created a new area within our ATRESMEDIA group, which is called ATRESMEDIA Diversificación. And the main goal for ATRESMEDIA Diversificación is to find new business models that don't depend on advertising in the Spanish market. And one of the areas that we are looking into is the startup environment. So we think that we have a very strong power, which is media and mass communication. So basically what we do is we provide startups with mass media communication in exchange for an equity stake in the companies. So that way we can diversify our revenues either by a financial way when the company grows a lot and it gets bought by an exit, or if it's a company that it has a very good fit with ATRESMEDIA activities, then we include it in our portfolio and have a new revenue stream that doesn't come from advertising. So that would be the first reason, which is diversify our revenues. Then we also like a lot to be in contact with startups, with entrepreneurs, because we feel we have a lot to learn from them in the way they manage things, how they can handle the business with a lot of very limited resources. So we find new ways to do things and we learn from them. That would be another, and we kind of learn from innovation on their side. And I think a third reason would be like when you find a startup in its early stages, it's easier to find new business opportunities, not only in the way of having equity in those companies, but also business opportunities as we can find new products that can fit into Antena 3's portfolio in terms of new services to the audience, a second screen or similar things. And so we can create business opportunities as provider-customer relationship with innovative companies. And I think the fourth reason would be that we want to put in value what television can do for startups, because there was a time when people thought that online and TV hadn't got a fit, and we think it's just the contrary. We think there's a very nice fit between online and offline in terms of television advertisement. So we want to really show all the startups and all the e-commerce players that television is good for the business. So therefore increasing the value of TV as a media and showing that it's more valuable than ever.
Okay. So, and what about you, Alberto? What are you doing right now at Price?
Good afternoon, everybody. I think that's the best way to make you understand what we are doing is, and just tell you a little story of how everything began. So I think could be help you to show you what are we looking for. 1 year and a half, I remember it was a Tuesday, because the Friday before I was to promote it to partner in PwC, so I was very happy. And then that Tuesday I was very tired because the weekend was very intensive with the celebrations. And I received a call from the assistant of the president of PwC. We are 4,000 people in PwC working, so I know I was not very used to talk with the president every day. So he said, his assistant says, I want to meet you. So I go to talk to Carlos Mas, our president. He said, I know, Alberto, you and your team, my team is here, so I will say their names later. I know that you have been pushing everywhere around the firm, saying that we have to do something with startups. So it's okay, done. You have a white paper, do it. So I say, oh, but I would like you to do two things with this. We want an area that generates our income, so a business area, and we want that you help us to transform the organization. So income, growth, and transformation area. And I asked him, well, I didn't ask, maybe now I would say, and you maybe ask for more, for example, peace in the world or whatever, because you are asking for everything. And he said, no, peace of the world, not by the moment. But you have to develop an area that is increase our revenues and transformation. So what we tried to do the next 2 months was try to change our mindset. People are like us, people like our companies are very used to think how we can help startups. So we can do a lot of things for them. We have maybe social responsibility of other things, for example, innovation. But in the environment that it works, for example, Israel or USA, the question for the corporates is just the opposite. What can the startups, or how can the startups help us? So, after thinking a lot, and I will not last more with this question, what we have done is just, we want to identify 40 startups. Maybe I'll explain if you want later what, because we don't call them startups, we call them high growth potential enterprises, and we will explain later why we use this term. Select 40 and make them clients of PwC. The point here is what we do with the money, just to pay that. And the second objective is try that the most people of PwC work with these startups. Not help them, talk to them, no, work, because they are clients. So why do we want that? Because we want to be contaminated, because we want transformation, with all these kind of skills or values that the entrepreneurs and this kind of entrepreneurs have. And that's what we're doing. We just select companies, make them clients, put it with the proper professionals within PwC, and try to compile or fulfill with both objectives.
Okay, thank you. I think it's quite clear, your value proposition to startups, so when you explain them, but I would like to know in practice, how are you planning to find this talent and the proper startups for you? And what will you really do with them? So will you offer them working space? Will you be providing specific services? Or so what will be the program?
We thought a lot about that. We thought many things. But at the end we understood from PwC that the best option was to do with them what we know to do. What is, we are a professional service company, so render professional services. So what do? We just seek for companies, we start seeking companies not from the very beginning, not because they don't have money, because we have money. The point is they don't have the so complex necessity to have the wide range of services that a company like us could help them. So we start when the companies has just tested their business model, has 4, 5, 6 people working, 1 million income, and from there we're seeking companies there and in the next stage, okay, in the growth company. So what are 10 millions, 5 millions, and they're looking for. First of all, focus on who is our client. That is our client. But that is not our client. That is our target. The second one is, what are we going to do with them? With the companies that are in that first area, in that third stage, always not thinking in entrepreneurs alone, just with this company. What we try to do, what we say is, think in your business, and we try to think in your corporate. So take care of your business, and we will take care of your company. So a kind of interim CFO. In the next step, what we do is more complex. International structures, just take control if you have an international structure of CAM, M&A with more complex operations and whatever. No? And how does it work? It is not difficult. We sit with the companies, with the targets, talk to them, talk with them, and understand their business plan, and look if we take the decision if this company fulfills with our profile. Then when we have even three meetings, we said, okay, you need, under our opinion, you need this service, and this service. And you're going to be a client. So if this service is 10, how much will you pay? They say, okay, I think this is value, I will pay 20. The other 80, I will pay. I will pay, we have a fund of hours, of professional hours, and we will cover the other. So the question is, we are not taking equity. Even, I don't know how long, up to today, we are not having any kind of commitment or any kind of success fee or whatever. We just invest this money to say, we want you to be our clients. And when you go there, we hope you think that you will have all your services with us. So you will be our client from the beginning. Now we have close to 12 companies. We think around January we will make close 30, and we are now searching for these companies.
That's great. And what about you, Javier? What do you plan to do with your startups or with the startups in your program?
So we have what we call a Media for Equity program. Media for Equity, to put it in simple terms, is that we offer mass communication, advertising, mainly on TV and on radio, in exchange for an equity stake of startups. So, and the value proposition for the startups is quite easy, is that we believe that there is only, in the internet world, there's only room for the number one player or second player, number two. So there's really a need for startups to really grow very quickly, because time to market is essential, and to gain critical mass to become the leaders of the market. And we think that television and radio is the best way to reach those goals. So basically what we do is we see a lot of startups, a lot of entrepreneurs. They present us their business plans. Our strategy is that we only invest in companies that have a proved business model, that are already having revenues. I mean, they don't have to be big, but at least that they can prove that they can monetize their business model. They have to be business-to-consumer companies, because obviously advertising only has effect on mass media, so we have to reach the final consumer. And they have to be in a massive market, because when you have advertising on television, you are going to reach all the people. So we are not focusing on niche companies, but on companies addressing a very large market, which is where television really has a very big impact. So what we do is we provide them with a comprehensive offline television advertising plan. We provide them with expertise in offline advertising, and we value our services, our media. We value the company, and therefore we acquire a percentage of the company. And that way, and we have already experienced that, the company really grows a lot in a very short time, because we think that online marketing is very efficient for the earlier stages, but then it's more difficult to really go to another level, and television can really boost growth in a very fast way. And also what we provide them is brand recognition. So television is a great way to build a brand. So when you build a brand, you are in the long term no longer dependent on online marketing investment, because people know your brand and know your company. And that's something that television does very nicely. So that's the way we have structured it. So our target is to be, with the company for a year or a couple of years, and then with the growth they have achieved, then our gain goes through an exit of the company, because it's bought by a bigger player or another player in the industry, or in case we find there is a strategic fit with what we do in ATRESMEDIA, then we are in a very good position to really increase our stake in the company and include it in our portfolio within ATRESMEDIA Group. So that's a little bit our value proposition and how we are structuring it.
Okay. So in my experience at WAYRA, what I've seen is that when you can bring the most to these startups is once that you've got engagement from the whole organization. And that's not something that easy to achieve. So we all work in kind of grown-up organizations, big structures. What are your plans to raise awareness of your programs within the organization? And what are your plans to get the engagement of the whole organization and get them to work with startups and start bringing value to them? How are you going to get this?
Yeah. So I think that, well, obviously you have to have the support from the very top of the company. And in this case, our CEO has really believed in this necessity. So that's why he decided to create this area, which is, as I told you before, called ATRESMEDIA Diversificación. So I think the main thing is that you have to change your set of mind. Because, for example, a company as ATRESMEDIA makes revenues of more than 2 million euros per day. So obviously, our scale is completely different. So I think it's very important that you have first that support of the CEO and of the top management of the company to really socialize that what you're doing is important. And at the same time, you have to have a team fully focused on that, because obviously for us, an investment in a startup that has revenues of 500,000 euros per year is very important, and we really fight for that. So that would be lost if there weren't an area which is really devoted and focused on that. So that's how we are doing. Support from the top management, and then creation of an expert group that really believes in the project and its objectives are scaled according to the dimension of the project.
Okay. What about you, Alberto?
Well, one of the first things I asked, and I told before to my president, was you have to lead this. Otherwise, it was because we have several objectives, but one of them is just to be transformed. So, what we are doing, just to try to engage the company, the first thing we have done is not to push them too much. So, what I've done is, we thought among 4,000 people, maybe some people would like to work with the startups. I do. So I mean, I'm not so strange. So maybe many people should. So our first option, or first objective, was to look for the people that was going to render the services, that provide their services, in order to find those people that want to work with startups. That was very, very important, because we have, in companies like PwC or whatever, like us, if you sit in the same room, an entrepreneur and an advisor that does not want to talk to an entrepreneur, you don't know who will get out before from the room. You know what I mean? Because the entrepreneur thinks that he's talking with an alien, and the people from PwC say, what are you doing with this kind of company? So that was the first, just to identify these people, because we want clients. So the second, maybe I think it's our best experience at the moment, is we realized that it was almost surprising. We did not any advertising internally in the company, because first we want to do, and then we want to talk and to communicate. Okay? But sadly, and many of them are here, some people that works everywhere in the company, we have people in public sector, whatever, knocked the door, my office door, and said, I know PwC is working with startups, I want to work with you. We said, I won't pay you more, I won't even, it should be hidden, because your boss never, if your boss tell me, you're taking my people, I will kill you. And the third one, if you're full, please tell us before you die. At the end of the year, the last year, we called them replicants, like Blade Runner, because I don't remember the word, the sentence, but it's like I've seen people think that I've seen people you people wouldn't believe. What is PwC working with that kind of company? So at the end of the year, we have 50 people working with us. So our objective is just having the top sponsorship and the low speed.
Okay, so there are startups in the audience, and you've got a great chance for them to explain what's your differentiation in this moment in which everyone talks about like the entrepreneurship bubble and the VC bubble. I read this week that there are almost like 3,000 programs coming from corporate venture capital, corporate funds. So the competition is quite high. What's your secret sauce, and how would you convince a startup to go with Pricewaterhouse and with ATRESMEDIA instead of going with any other?
Well, I think ATRESMEDIA, has something that very few players in Spain have, which is the power of mass media communication. So really, I think we are competing in another league. We are not competing with the VCs to capture funds. We are, or to capture good projects to invest. I think we can create a lot of synergies with the VCs, and we always invest with them. So our proposition to VCs in this case is, money is a scarce resource, and companies need to invest the money they receive very carefully, and they have to develop the product. So our value proposition is, you have the money, the cash coming from VCs, and then we kind of offer you with a smart money, which is mass communication and advertising. So I think that's a very good mix, because you can use the money in really developing the company and the product, which is the most important thing, and then you can use ATRESMEDIA, our media, to really boost your growth without using the cash, which is very difficult to get. So I think we can really work together very well, and that's why we are not really competing for investing in companies.
Okay.
Our difference. I think it's difficult, because if you see our difference, you have to talk about the company. So the other. What we're trying is just to. Our approach. We want to show them that we want to treat them as what we have in our house. It's our clients. We are not trying to treat them as projects, as any other thing apart from what we do, what is having clients. And for that was absolutely essential to raise this internal fund, because I understand that if we select you, you have to be our client as any other client in the company. But we will only achieve that if the people who is working with you within my company earns money.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you will be the last. So that was the first thing we tried to. There are other things. For example, our approach is like investors, not like services providers. This is very different, because if I sell services, I will pay 80%. So I'm not so interested in selling services if I don't think that these services will fit with that company, because we're thinking as investors. So I think both. First of all, you are a client from the beginning. You will have a partner following you from the beginning, as any other client from PwC. You have people looking at you and taking care of you, our area. And the third one, we are not very interested in your fees from the beginning. We're interested in you fulfill your necessities. I think this may be, but maybe others could do better. I don't know.
No, I'm sure not. And I think startups, or in my experience, they are mostly concerned about getting cash and getting direct financing. So in your case, you are offering media for equity. In your case, you're offering also services. Have you got any plans to partner with traditional VCs, or how do you plan to bring money to your startups or the teams that you're working with? Do you think you can also help with that?
Okay, what we are doing is just to know other investors. So, for example, I've called Javier and I say, I've seen a company, very good company. I think it is a B2C company in a stage that it needs a lot of media. And it says, okay. And I go to investors and say, I've detected this company. Do you want to invest? I do believe that we will be successful. Well, we will be successful if we go with other investors. Not necessarily only going with other investors, because, for example, if we always go with other investors, for example, at least for PwC, I don't know if we will be able to, at the end of the year, have our own skills to detect which are the good companies or which are not, because we are always with other investors. But I think it is a very good opportunity for traditional investors and for us just to join, to go together, because they will need money for something. So we are not focusing on the income line or the money line, but on the cost. Because if you want to go far, you will need lawyers, you will need financial assessment, you will need some help that we can do. So I think it is, we have to work together. That's the point.
Our situation is a little bit like Alberto has explained. I mean, for us, since we have a very good team of around 10 people working for ATRESMEDIA Diversificación in these projects, but of course, we don't have the skills or the people or the time to look at every investment opportunity. So since we don't invest in very early stages companies because our tickets are a little bit high, because television, if you want to do a mass campaign, that's not a small ticket. When we go and invest in a company, they already have other investors, other venture capitals inside. So what we have experienced is that when we first started the project like 1 year ago, it was difficult for us to find opportunities because we really needed to prove that the model worked and so on. Now we have made a very good network of relationships, and the same venture capitals come to us saying, I've got an investment that could be good for media for equity. So we have created that kind of relationship with them, even with very big international and US venture capitals that really are finding value to our model, and that really makes things much easier for us because we don't have to spend that many resources in evaluating our business models that it would be, like a very complex task to do for us.
Absolutely. Okay, and as last question, I would like to know, so you've got like a quite long track record working for big corporates, but also there's time for you that you've been working with startups. I would like to know what's your personal experience dealing with both, and how do you see this?
Okay. I think, I've been working with a startup for about 1 year, and I've been surprised, and I've learned a lot, especially by two things. First is how startups are able to do a lot of things with very limited resources. That is something that is difficult to understand for a very large corporation where every small project needs like a lot of people involved, a lot of money. So I think that's really something that I really like about startups and entrepreneurs. And we are actually implementing that in our own projects within ATRESMEDIA Diversificación. We also develop 100% own projects, and we try to apply that philosophy of scarce resources to our projects. So that would be one thing. And the other is, personally, it's very satisfactory because when you see a first pitch of a company, just as we saw before, it's a very small company starting, and then you see how they struggle to make the company work, how they keep on fighting. That's something that, and how they deal with failure. I think that's something that we really have to learn in big corporations. We are somehow afraid of really taking risks because we are afraid of failure. And when you see the approach of entrepreneurs, you really understand that you have to take risks if you want to be successful, and you have to fight for ideas. And that's something that I think is very powerful for a big organization as ATRESMEDIA to learn.
Okay. I think I could talk about our experience. The team, they are here. Borja, John, and Rodrigo. Our experience is up and down. So one day we're here, enthusiastic. Other day we're absolutely down. I remember specifically a night in Luxembourg. I thought, what I'm doing here? I was a partner. I was in my area, very, very warm. Other day you are okay. Other day you are so. But this kind of medical device, I don't know the figure, but at the end of the day, I think our experience is that we're taking a chance. So we have taken a chance, and we are doing things that matters in a very big company that nobody thinks that nobody will do that. So we like to work with startups. I was 3 years trying to work with startups without losing my job. We are trying to help a company like PwC to transform and to earn money. And we are trying to help we are small, we are very, but we're trying to help to get this environment stronger with a company like PwC, focusing with another kind of approach to this kind of environment. So our experience is that we are lucky. We are doing something that I can say a lot of things of the startups, but from a big corporate working on this, and one of the other things that we have learned working with this, the people you met, the people you know, is that sometimes if you have a goal, you work hard, you push and push and push, and you are lucky, because you have to be lucky. If you work 24 hours, you will be much more lucky than if you work less. And you are lucky. I think what startups has learned us is that many things are possible, because the individual, the person, is in the middle, because you can do things that matter. So we're having that experience. We're enjoying, enjoying the trip, because this could be a little could be understood in another way, but enjoying the journey we're doing, and I think that's what we'll learn. We don't know we will be in 2 years, I don't know, but we're enjoying a lot.
Yeah, it's the same with us at WAYRA, and you've seen it from the very beginning.
Yeah, we know
Alberto, he's a good old friend from WAYRA, and he's been there since the very beginning. And yeah, we really feel privileged to be working with guys, with entrepreneurs, and yeah, I'm sure that they're bringing so big value into the organizations. In Telefónica, yeah, it's something that at the beginning, yeah, it was like unbelievable, and it was hard to show our coworkers how to deal with investors, with startups.
Startups think that you are in a big corporate, so you are perfect, and your colleague says, well, you are working with them, going to the summit, pictures, and so you're in the middle.
We always explain the same anecdote, and Alberto was there. When we launched WAYRA program, we were at Campus Party in Valencia. All entrepreneurs were here, like sitting at the audience. And when our CEO came to stage and he said, "Hello, I'm Gonzalo Martin Villa, and I'm launching a program to assist the startups, and I'm from Telefónica," all the audience stood up and left. So, and it was so discouraging that, yeah, I think nowadays and in this industry, we have proved big corporations that we've got great value to bring to startups. And yeah, I think we have a lot to say in this world.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Alberto Tornero from Pricewaterhouse, and Pedro Nuche from ATRESMEDIA. Javier Nuche, sorry for that. ATRESMEDIA. I hope you enjoyed.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.